Okay, quick little break from Spider-Man. Hope everybody had a good weekend. We are back at MechWarrior 5, back in the Mech Lab. You know, Jack Move Johnny and Alex's favorite place to be and favorite place to hear about. So today, I've pretty much beaten this game to hell and back. I've beaten the game to death and back, revived it with Dragon Balls, and beat it again and back. So, this is a modded version of MechWarrior 5. We do have some clan and jihad era weapons and equipment, so we will go into the mech lab and show you all my nice designs and their loadouts and their upgrades and everything about that nature. So, we are going to start out with the active hangar. Active hangar is clearly what you deploy. So, we have, first off, a 20-ton flea. A lot of people don't like the flea. I like the flea. It's 20 tons. You can pretty much fit it into any mission. It's got decent firepower, at least the one I have, which has, let's see, 2 ER medium pulse lasers, clan variants, and 3 ER small pulse lasers, clan variants. This little guy runs at 111 kilometers per hour, 2 double heat sinks, and has a mask. So, with the mask, you can actually run even faster. So I believe this thing tops out at anywhere between 140 and 160 kilometers an hour. But if you're going to use this one, yeah, you better make sure you're not moving slow. You need to be moving fast all the time. Next up, we have a Phoenix Hawk, 45-ton mech. This guy's got 3 light PPCs, which are very good because PPCs concentrate damage, so not the most powerful things in the world, but pinpoint accuracy on a lighter mech is pretty damn good. This comes with a mask too, so this guy definitely reaches up to 160 kilometers an hour. Also has 6 jump jets, 2 light machine guns, because that's pretty much all you can fit in. You can't fit anything in heavier. And a clan laser AMS, because who doesn't like AMS's, anti-missile systems? Nobody likes to deal with missiles. Next up in the active hangar, we have the DRG SDW Dragon Heavy Mech. Also includes a light clan AMS. We have 2 heavy medium lasers because we got to get damage for tonnage. We have an clan SRM-6 with Artemis 4 missile control. It's kind of heated okay. 1.6 is a little bit underheated or undercooled in my opinion. I mean, you could definitely change the heavy medium lasers down to standard medium for better cooling options. But then again, you're coming in under firepowered, under damage, whatever you want to call it. This guy does hold a Clan Hyper Assault Gauss Rifle 40, which is pretty much the demon of the game, the mod game. This thing is just absolute insanity. Punches holes at 56 damage for 16 tons. It's a heavy weapon, but yeah, it can definitely fucks with shit. And lastly, in the active hangar is the Zeus, the ZEUSK. This thing is just a straight monster. This is probably one of the best mechs in the game. I mean, it's cooled at 2.6, 220 firepower. It runs at 74 kilometers an hour, but also has a mask 4, so you could probably reach up to over 101 kilometers an hour. This thing can move. Not only that, it's got a Clan Hyper Assault Gauss Rifle 20, the weakest variant, but still could shell out 20 damage. 2 medium lasers because, sometimes you want to shoot helicopters or vehicles, but the most damning thing on this mech is quad clan advanced SRM-6s. These things do ridiculous damage. Each coming in at 28.56 because they're kind of upgraded. So let's do the math on that. This thing hits with 114 damage per shot. These are locked on guided missiles, 6, 12, 18, 24. So pretty much you can delete any small and medium mech in one shot. Some heavy mechs in one shot. Heavy mechs are definitely going down in 2 shots. Assault mechs can go down in 2 to 3 shots. Potentially 1 to 2 if you're hitting them with the high with the Hyper Assault Gauss Rifle. This thing is by far the best mech in the game, the best assault mech in the game, but at 80 tons pound for pound, best mech in the game. So we're going to start out with the smaller mechs now. Let me clear my throat. So the Spider SDR-A, definitely one of the better mechs for demolition or blown up bases or hitting targets or anything like that. Comes in with 2 machine guns, clan variant, 2 ER flamers, clan variant, 2 laser AMSs, 6 jump jets, a SRM-4 clan, you know, just if you need that little extra punch to delete a tank, a vehicle, or anything like that. But this thing isn't anything you want to get into battle with. You're just literally taking out installations, demolitions, and you have the dual AMS. Why does it have LAMS? What does the L stand for? Clan? I don't know. Oh, laser. Okay. So you have the 2 laser AMSs to protect you when you're just running through the battlefield, and you just delete any kind of installation with your machine guns and your flamers, not having to worry about any heat unless your laser AMSs are just clearly absorbing a ton of punishment. But in that case, you would rather absorb punishment than actually be punished. The Javelin. This thing is dirty. 101 firepower for a 30-ton mech. This thing can get dirty. So it has dual SRM-6-4s, or SRM-6s with Artemis 4 fire control, clan variants, 4 heavy small lasers. Heavy small lasers may not have a lot of range, but they deal a hell of a lot of damage at 8.45. 243 range, but this thing is a brawler. This thing is like the Spider. It's made to get in, get out quick, and this thing can do a hell of a lot of damage. 111 kilometers an hour, keep it moving. Probably my least favorite light mech of what I have available. I mean, if I was going to get rid of any mech out of my roster, it'd probably be this one. I know a lot of people like it. Me, I'm not like so fond of it. I mean, yeah, it's got 4 medium lasers and a spot for a large laser. In this case, I put in a heavy large laser. It can run 111 kilometers an hour, but it doesn't have any jump jets. It doesn't have any missiles. It doesn't have any ballistics. It's just kind of there. But it does have a Guardian ECM. You know, these things are good. You know, it disrupts hostile sensors. So I guess it does have some utility, but probably not one of the mechs I would use. Not to say that it's bad. It's one of the better mechs in the game, but just not particularly like what I would want to use. Next up, we got the Panther KK. Now, a lot of people give this guy a bad rep, but I kind of like it. Very cooled up at 2.36. This is a very simple mech. Now, for a 34 or a 35-ton mech, this thing is not fast. 74 kilometers an hour. It's not really fast. It's not really armored, but it has 2 slots for large, as you can see, large energy slots. So actually comes in and doing a lot of damage with 107. So I have 2 heavy lasers and 1 Clan Advanced SRM-6, the same one that the Zeus had. So this thing can deal a crap load of damage for its weight. It has the mobility with the jump jets, but the armor leaves a lot to be desired, and it's fast, but for its size, it's really not fast. I mean, 35 tons, it comes at 74 kilometers. I mean, something twice its weight is 20 kilometers faster in the Dragon, is what it is, though. Next up, we got the Raven. Now, I know a lot of people like to use the Raven for the ECM, the Beagle probes, all that stuff. I like to use it to deal damage. So it's got twin SRM-6s. It's got 1.5 cooling. It could be a little more cooler, but it's got quad mag shot Gauss rifles. Now, I know these things deal very little damage, but hear me out. For whatever reason, when you have 4 of them, you can headshot a lot of things and deal a lot of damage quickly. It's got 2 jump jets, could use more, but it also runs at 150 kilometers per hour with no need for a mask. So this thing can get in, get out, and do a lot of damage. I don't understand how they tally the damage up for the mag shot Gauss rifle it really only does 2.8, but believe me, when you're just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting, for whatever reason, it piles up quick and can deal damage quickly. What do we got next? The fire starter. Fire starters are... Whew. Fire starters have a lot of utility, whether you want them to literally start fires or have a crap load of things on them. One has a laser AMS. This is not a clan variant. That's weird. I should probably get a clan variant then, because that'd actually save me half a ton of space. I could probably put in another double heatsink, but whatever. We'll figure that out later. Anyway, this thing is pretty good. 1.5 cooling heats, cooling jets, or cooling, however you want to define that. It runs at 111 kilometers an hour. Has space for 6 jump jets. I only put in 4. Has a Biego probe that extends base sensor range, so it enables all of your other mechs to have a further range as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heavy small lasers and 2 ER medium lasers, all clan variants. So if you get close to this thing, it's going to deal damage, and it can punch a little bit further out with twin ER medium lasers clan variants. If I were to change this up, I would do it this way right here. Take out one of these lights, put in a couple doubles, but yeah, don't have that one in there, so really can't do much right now. Guess we'll figure that out later. I like tier 5 weaponry, what can I say? The Cicada, or Cicada, whatever you want to call it. This mech, to me, without clan weaponry, I think would be useless. But with clan weaponry, you can equip twin SRM6s to give it a bit of a punch. It also has quad ER medium lasers. So the goal of this mech right here, not to get in any close, just to harass things with extended range medium lasers. If things get close, if things get dicey, you can unleash 40 points of damage in twin SRM6s. But the reason I like this mech is it had jump jets to be wild, but it has a speed of 153 kilometers without the aid of any kind of mask or supercharger. This is by far one of the fastest default mechs in the game without any kind of supercharger. So this thing can move. Built like a, I don't know, but it can move. So one of my favorite mechs. This thing, I really don't use it a lot, but it's kind of one of a kind, so the hell with it, I made it. You know, I watched a cartoon show back in the day, The Axeman. Hatchet Man, HCTMA, I believe, is this the hero variant? Yes, it is. So, yeah, we got the medium mace because I believe that's the best you can deal with it. 4 tons, 62.5 damage. Yep. Or you could actually put in the hatchet, but no. Medium mace, we've got 1 Hag, Hyper Assault, Gauss Rifle 20, and 3 ER small lasers. I would like to make them heavy lasers to make them a straight up brawler, but you know, the heat is not that great on this thing. The cooling's only at 1.32, and you can't fit medium lasers in here unless you want to start removing jump jets, but so you got to deal with what you got to do. You got to make some compromises. You need the 375 range, the extra range. You need the mitigation of heat. So this is probably the best you could do with the hatchet, man. Your goal with this thing is pretty much to use the Hag to kill things and to roll up on things with the jump jets and the speed and hammer things with the mace. And if you need to use the lasers, you use the lasers. This thing definitely could be faster, especially if you're trying to hack things, because I'm sorry, hacking things in this game is kind of rudimentary, but it is what it is. For a 45-ton mech that have 340 armor, it's actually pretty good, but it is what it is. And next we have another So next up we've got the Blackjack. Same amount of tonnage, but 40 tons less armor. So like I said, the Hatchet Man's pretty much got a lot better armor, but This thing is this thing's kind of a nightmare. I kind of went crazy with this thing. So, not the most well armored thing. Actually, it's average armored for its size. Maybe even better. The Hatchet Man just got a lot better armor for its size and its weight. So, we've got 2 ER medium laser clans for things that are outside the range. I don't know why, but I put a cap light PPC because I only had one and it could fit in there. It shoots out a 1,150 meters, so this is the long range game for this mech. But 6 clan anti-personnel Gauss rifles. They're anti-personnel, but for whatever reason, these things fucks. Like this thing, I don't know why. Again, I don't know how these MG or AP Gauss rifles are calculated, even though the damage is low, but these things will shred through mechs. Light, medium, heavy, assault, vehicles, this thing will shred them, period. It's got jump jets to get into better situations. You have 2 ER medium lasers to deal with things in farther range, and you have the cap light PPC to deal harassing things like, missile platforms, helicopters, whatever. This is one of my more fun mechs to use, but again, without clan and jihad tech, this thing would probably be kind of useless, no offense. Next up, we have the Hunchback. I know. This is a blasphemous Hunchback. It is not a, let's see. It's not a 4G. It's not a 4J or 4P. And I know, people, this is a dual hunch, but hear me out. With clan tech, we can do things. We can do things. So typically a Hunchback would have everything on its right shoulder, whether it's a large autocannon, a large Gauss rifle of some sort of type, or a rack of 6 lasers, or a rack of dual SRMs or LRMs. But, I decided that instead of putting everything on one shoulder, I'm going to make it a little bit symmetrical. So yes, that does drop me 1 medium laser spot, but on the bright side, you get a little bit better cooling. You get the ability to have your lasers in your arms and not on your shoulders, so now you can aim better because it's easier to aim arms instead of just aiming your whole body. And instead of the ASRM 6s both on the right torso, I have one in each torso, so God forbid you get into a fight, because what's the first thing everybody does when they see a Hunchback? Shoot the right shoulder. That'll pretty much obliterate 90% of its weapons. In this case, if you shot the right shoulder, you're not going to take out everything. I'd still have 4 heavy lasers and 1 ASRM 6. Don't feel the need to use this weapon slot right here. I don't see a reason why. I'd rather use the tonnage for extra coolant, extra armor. 350 armor, 50-ton mech that deals 165 damage. This thing is a beast. Nothing. Hunchback, I mean, you really can't go wrong with the Hunchback. I mean, sure, it's kind of slow for a medium mech, but I like medium mechs. Medium mechs can get the job done. A lot of the top tier mechs in the game are definitely medium mechs. Trebuchet. I know you're looking at this thing like, what the hell? How many missiles does this Trebuchet have? Well, with clan missile tech, we can have a lot. So, whereas let's see, standard inner sphere variant of an LRM 20 would be 10 tons and put me 5 tons overweight, and let's go again. If we wanted to do that again, we had 2 inner sphere LRM 20s, we'd be 10 tons overweight. But luckily, with clan missile tech, they're half the weight and the same damage. This is why the clans are way better. So we have 20, 15, 40, 55 LRM 20s launching out clan variants. All this thing is meant to do is stay further back, uses 5 jump jets for maneuverability, it runs at 93 kilometers per hour, it's got speed, unleash holy hell with your LRMs. That's all you gotta do. If you got tanks or gun turrets or helicopters, you do have 3 ER small lasers to take care of other things. But outside of that, all you do with this thing is launch missiles. That's all you gotta do. Now this thing, the Kintaro Golden Boy. Whew. This is a top tier or god tier mech right here. This is probably one of the better mechs in the game. What clan missile tech, it makes it even more lethal. You have 6, 12, 18, 24, 28 missile tubes of SRM-6s. You can literally delete most mechs in one shot. You can probably delete most assault mechs in 2 shots. This thing is very well armored at 382 armor for a 55-ton mech. It is very cooled for 3.18. And look, it's so cooled. You even have room for 3 ER medium pulse lasers clan variants. And we know pulse lasers take up an additional ton, so that was 3 extra tons I got to work with, so why the hell not? So you have 27 damage, which is lasers alone per pull, 750 range, they're pulse lasers, and you can just deal a ridiculous amount of missile damage per shot. You got good maneuverability and over 3 points in cooling. This is one of the best mechs in the game. Easily. Pound for pound, probably the best mech in the game. I mean, if you're going for top tier, best mechs in the game, Zeus would definitely be one of them. Golden Boy is one of them. Wolverine. I like the Wolverine, but it does suffer from what the Hunchback has, where we, as you can see right now, everything is loaded onto one side of the mech. If you fight a Wolverine, all you really have to do is worry about the right arm and the right shoulder. Outside of that, I think this is a very good mech. Can run at 93 kilometers per hour. It has 368 armor. Is that more? No, it is less than the Golden Boy, which just shows you that the Golden Boy, the Kintaro, is just legendary. But this is good. It's got 2 twin ASRM Clan Advanced Missile System 6s. It has crappy cooling in 1.4. It's got 3 medium lasers, and it's got 1 high assault Gauss rifle 20. So this thing can definitely do damage. For whatever reason, it doesn't really heat up a lot because, you know, the HAG doesn't generate a lot of heat. The ASRMs don't generate a lot of heat. And, you know, the medium lasers don't generate a lot of heat. I mean, if I wanted to, I could change these out for possibly heavy small lasers and put in more coolant, but I really don't think so. But I do like this mech. It's very good, but, like, again, a smart pilot just has to worry about the left arm, the right shoulder, and you're pretty much done. Shadowhawk. This thing gets a bad rep because you can't see left. This is the cockpit. You can't see left because you got this giant ass autocannon or whatever you want to fit there. So, yeah, I guess you can play in third person, but realistically, when I always look at this mech, I'm like, how do people pilot this thing? Don't get how. Anyway, this is a very good mech. Very well armored. It's got jump capability. It's cooled at above 2. Can run at 93 kilometers per hour. Keep in mind, I have a 15% speed increase upgrade on most of my mechs, if you're wondering. These are not base layouts and base sets. But you can deal, you have an SRM-4 and an SRM-6, both clan variants, 4 medium lasers, and a clan hyper assault Gauss rifle. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but this is one of the workhorse mechs. Like I said, most of the medium mechs in this game are very good. I mean, you have the Golden Boy, the Trebuchet, the Hunchback, the Wolverine. You have the Shadowhawk. Most medium mechs in this game are good. I mean, even if I wanted to, I could throw in a Griffin. A Griffin is a good medium mech. Like, there's not many bad medium mechs in the game. I even think the Crab could be a decent medium mech. As far as the lights, since I've already gone through them, I mean, maybe you could use a Jenner. I know you're not using a Irby, but hey, is what it is. This is one of my more favorite mechs right here. So I don't understand. This is if you want a little more versatility, a little more mobility, as opposed to the Kintaro Golden Boy, I would use this because you get 5 jump jets. You have 6, 12, 18, 24 SRM6's clan, and you can deal some big damage with this guy. Is it faster than the Golden Boy? Yeah, faster than the Golden Boy too. So Golden Boy's got 74 kilometers per hour. The Dervish has 93 and 4 and 5 jump jets. So the only problem is you're not dealing as much missile damage, and you're losing the 3 ER medium clan pulse lasers. And that this thing is completely dependent on ammo. So once you run out of ammo, even though this thing has a lot, but if you ever run out, you're done. There's no ammo refuels. Sometimes you can find it. That's a complete shot in the dark. So any kind of extended campaign level, not so sure. But if you want something that's got more mobility than the Golden Boy, and this one's it. Okay, we're on to heavy mechs now. So heavy mechs I did not choose. We'll go through first. I know a lot of people like the Black Knight, Clan Busters. Really didn't like it. Couldn't, even with Clan and Jihad tech, really couldn't figure out anything to do with one that just wasn't better with anything else. And you'll see that with the Grasshopper. Jaeger mechs, not a big fan of Jaeger mechs. Quick draws are decent, but there's just better options that are just better loaded out. Riflemen, you could do things with Riflemen, just not a big fan. This is a modded mech, the Savage Wolf. Let's see, what era is a Savage Wolf in? Savage Wolf is a 31-36 year mech. It's pretty much the Mad Cat Mark IV, so it's definitely a modded mech, so we really can't put that in here. I don't even know what era that is off the top of my head. Anyway, I know a lot of people like the Warhammer. The Warhammer did not make it either, even though the Warhammer is the workhorse of Battletech. But let's start out with some things real quick. Excuse me. So this is a catapult from the DLC. Yeah, I know. Hold up. I like the fancy look. It's got the gold trim. Looks like a dragon and everything. So this is a unique catapult because it does not have any jump jets. But what it does have is 2 mag shot Gauss rifles for people that get in close. Anti-tank, whatever. But it's got 2 Cap SN PPCs, the snub noses, and 2 regular snub nose PPCs. What do you do with this mech? 1, 2, 3, 4. Since PPC's particle projection cannons hit with pinpoint damage, when you hit pinpoint damage with 4 of them, you can pretty much one-shot things straight to the cockpit or eliminate any portion of a mech in one shot. This is a very good mech, and the only mech outside the Orion I had 2 of just for this reason. Wish it had jump jets, but hey, it doesn't. Could be a little more armored at 65 tons, but hey, it is what it is. Next up, we have the Crusader. Oh, the Crusader. Yes, that's 202 points of damage right here. Speed of 74. Cooling is 1.7. The cooling is very low. Armor is pretty decent, but this thing right here is a missile boat. 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Yes, people. This thing launches 80 missiles. Clan variants. And if things get close or you don't want to waste missiles on tanks or anything, yes, you do have 2 ER small lasers, but the whole point of this thing is to unleash holy hell with Clan missile tech. It's got the speed to get out of the way. It's got no jump jets. What is even the point of machine guns here? There is no point. Save the tonnage, put it into missiles. This thing is an absolute nightmare on the battlefield. Look at all these missiles, people. 20, 40, 10, 10, 10, like goddamn. Now, the Thunderbolt. This is an interesting mech. Not the variant most people use, but a variant I kind of liked. So it comes in exceptionally cooled at 3.8 with 416 points of armor, runs at 75 kilometers. It only has 141 points of damage, but hear me out here. You have one ER large laser clan to harass things that far, but you have 8 ER clan medium lasers that can punch at 750 meters. And believe me, when you shoot all 8 of these things at one time, it melts through things. It's like a bigger version of a hunchback, but it has a long range laser, and then it has half the weapons in one shoulder and half in the other, as opposed to all of them at one point. This thing can fuck. This thing fucks. Like, not gonna lie, the stats may not show it, but this thing can really do damage quickly, and you never really have to worry about heat because it's damn near close to 4 in the cooling option. Looks kind of weird though. Next up, this is a god tier mech. I would put it next to the Zeus and the Kintaro. Actually, no, I would put it above the Zeus, but right next to the Kintaro. This archer is absolutely insane. And with clan missile tech, it's even more insane. We've got 15, 30, 45, 60, 70, 80. Like the, it shoots 80 LRMs like the Crusader, but you could fit in 4 heavy lasers as opposed to 2 small lasers. And you can fit the 4 heavy lasers because it's way more cooled than the Crusader. At 1.7, you get 2.8. So not only does it hold more ammo, it holds the same amount of missile racks. It has 4 heavy lasers that if any tank or mech or helicopter decides to get close, you can just punch holes in it. This thing will just relentlessly, nonstop just keep shooting missiles at people. And if you really wanted to be a pain in the ass, you could change out all these LRMs for SRMs and just be a short-range brawler. It even has a Biego probe, so it extends base sensor range outside line of sight. So this thing does work. One of the best mechs in the game. Next to the best 2 mechs right now are definitely the Archer and the Kintaro Golden Boy. The Zeus is a beast too. Next up, Grasshopper. This is why I think in this game, because of this Grasshopper, the Black Knight's kind of useless. The Black Knight is 75 tons. The Grasshopper MJ, for the Michael Jordan, go figure. Excuse me. Is 70 tons. 5 tons less, but has 2 heavy lasers for dealing heavy damage. 2 ER medium clan lasers. Punches out at 750 meters, but it also has a clan hyper assault Gauss rifle 40 with 4 jump jets. So let's get this point. For 5 tons less, it has slightly less armor, but more cooling, more speed, more damage, and jump jet capabilities. There's no point not to use this mech over a Black Knight. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. So yeah, this is why I say the Black Knight is kind of useless. I mean, even if you didn't have the Hag 40, most Black Knights can only do hardpoint medium for ballistic slots, not large. Got cold coming on. So next up, I have Orion. I have 2 Orions. I've got 2 catapults, 2 Orions. Had to have 2. So, I like this Orion, the M. Very versatile, very good mech. I just could not throw it into the shelter, into the hangar. I needed to use this one. Hear me out. Hear me out. So, we've got two heavy medium lasers. We have an LRM 20, 15, and 10. So that's 30. That's 45 LRMs, flanked by two heavy medium lasers in the arms. We are cooled at 3, and it has a HAG 20. Runs at 74 kilometers an hour, armor at 464. This is a great mech. Great mech. Excellent mech. One of the better mechs in the game, in my opinion. You'll see why I still have it, even though I have the other one. But yeah, I have two catapults. Oh, I didn't go over the other catapult. I'm sorry, I missed it. This catapult, the original one, has quad LRM 15s, 4 jump jets, 4 heavy medium lasers, so not exactly as good as the Archer, but if you wanted a mission where you wanted a little more mobility, a little more speed, and you want this is why you would use the Archer. I'm sorry, the catapult over the Archer, because you'd want speed and maneuverability, and with the jump jets, you would get it. But honestly, for 5 tons more, you get about 100 damage more. But catapult's still good. Sometimes you need to make weight. Okay, second Orion. The reason I have 2 Orions is because I could not resist building this Orion. Cooled at 3.3, same armor, same everything else, but it's got 3 ER large lasers, clan variant, and 3 clan advanced SRM6s. Now remember, the Zeus had 4 of these. This thing has 3 of these. That's why the Zeus is so good. The Zeus is good because it's 5 tons more and gets a mask, 1 additional ASRM, and a HAG. Hyper Assault Velocity Gauss Rifle, whatever you want to call it. That's why the Zeus is good, but this is a pretty good thing too. You can pretty much keep anything away from you with 3 Clan ER large lasers. If anything gets close, well, it's 84 damage in 1 pull of a trigger. That's mech deletion in 1 to 2 pulls. I mean, this mech seems amazing, which it is, but then you realize for 5 more tons, you get more armor, more speed, 1 more ASRM, and a HAG 20. You're just like, But you know what? Still good. Still good nonetheless. I mean, ER large lasers are nothing to joke about, and they don't have any kind of ammunition requirement, so it is what it is. Next up, we've got the Marauder. Childhood friend's favorite mech. Typically, these things carry triple PPCs, but with this one, I want to do something a little bit different. HAG 40 Gauss on the shoulder. 1 heavy medium laser up top. 2 standard medium lasers in the arms, and 2 heavy large lasers in the arms. So this thing could definitely reach out and punch. It could definitely reach out and melt you. And while it's melting you, it could definitely finish you and deal ridiculous amounts of damage with the Hyper Assault Gauss Rifle, the HAG, as we'll call it, the HAG 40. It's got good cooling, 3.2, and 3 jump jets. So this is one of the more versatile heavy mechs out there. I know some people like the Bounty Hunters variant, which has all kinds of energy hard points, but to me that one's a little too heat inefficient, or maybe it's not heat inefficient, but I just don't like managing that kind of heat and that kind of laser vomit. Now, this is a mech you can't get into the game. It looks familiar because it is. It's a Mad Cat Mark IV, aka the Savage Wolf, aka a mech 100 years later in the timeline in this game. So it's a novelty thing. It technically would be considered cheating because you're using a mech that's 100 years later. But this thing is Ridiculous. I'm about to show you why. First off, it's cooled at 4, which is already ridiculous. It can run at 81 kilometers an hour as a 75-ton mech. That's already ridiculous. It can jump jet, 58 jump points. Like, look at this. Cooling heat, 4. 5 jump jets. It can run at 81 kilometers an hour, and it's got 421 points of armor. This thing holds dual ER large laser clan variants, twin LRM-15s. So already you're not getting close to this thing because it's got twin LRM-15s. It's got 2 ER large lasers. It can run at 81 kilometers an hour, and it's got 5 jump jets, and it's got 4 points of cooling. You're not getting close to this mech. It's not going to allow you. If you get close to this mech, let's talk about that. It's got twin SRM-6s and 2 Gatling machine guns. And this thing has a crap load of armor. Gatling machine guns are like machine guns on steroids. They burn through ammo, and they just spit relentless ammo, but I'll just show you. That little thing here on the left is a machine gun. That thing on the right is a Gatling gun. So yes, if tanks or anything get close to you, you don't want to use missiles or large lasers, and you just want a Gatling gun to hell, yeah, those things are beasts. The fact that this thing has jump capabilities is actually even more insane. Oh, we're almost done. Oh, okay. We're on the heavy, or the assault mechs now. So what assault mechs did not make my cut? The Annihilator. Yo, not gonna lie. The Annihilator with 8 energy slots, you can probably put all kinds of large lasers, all kinds of particle projection cannons, all kinds of any kind of laser weapon. Just like the 1X variant will allow you to put 4 medium ballistics, so you can actually put quad hag 20s or anything and still have a bunch of lasers. Thing is insanely armored at 624, but my problem with this is it runs at 32 kilometers. I am not piloting something that slow. It makes every mission, like, it's just too slow. I mean, maybe on a defense mission, but even then, it's too slow. Don't even mention the charge. The charge is garbage. The Hamato Chi, to me, is an upgraded charger. I don't particularly like it. It's a novelty thing. The King Crabs can be good. I mean, you got some variants that have dual large ballistic slots. You have some that have 4 medium ballistic slots. You have some that have 4 large energy slots. But the King Crab is good. It's on the cover of the game. But when you see my assault mechs, you'll see why it didn't make the cut. If I had like 1 or 2 more mech slots in the bay, the King Crab would make it. So it's not a terrible mech. It's just 1 or 2 making it into my complete roster. Some people like the Night Star. It's got 2 large ballistics. I think it's one of the mechs you get at the end of the campaign, the main game. I think it's decent, but again, there's just better options. I think the Cyclops would be better because it has 2 large ballistic points and is faster. And I think the Corsair would be better because it also has 2 large laser points and a missile point. Some people like the Victor. I'm not a big fan of the Victor. I mean, again, if I had 3 more mech slots, I would put the Victor in. I did have the Victor in probably until last night when I put the Cicada in. The Victor could be good. It's an assault mech that's pretty fast, 64 kilometers. You could probably boost it up to 80. It's jump jet capable. It's got decent firepower. Some of them have like equipment spots for like ECMs, but it's good. It just didn't make the cut. So let's go on to what I got in assaults. Now, you can do a lot of crazy things with the Stalker. A lot of crazy things. I mean, you can load it up with a bunch of lasers, you can load it up with a bunch of missiles. Me, I'm a little more ridiculous than that. This thing, I just made it to throw out Arrow 4 missile systems. Yes, I know it says 12 tons and 28 damage, but this thing is like literally hurling a meteor at another mech. Max range of 6,250. Literally, you are launching a meteor. It's like giant blue Genki Dama spirit ball of destruction. And it just blows. Like, one shot can destroy a light mech. One shot on a medium or heavy is critical hitting the whole thing. Two shots on any mech that's medium, heavy, or assault is death or completely disabling the mech. So then we got it flanked by two LRM-15s because, you know, sometimes you want to hit helicopters or vehicles or smaller things like that. And you don't want to just use your Arrow 4s. And then I really didn't have a lot of tonnage, so we got these itty bitty tiny Clan ER micro lasers that are 1/4 of a ton each and have a max range of 281. Now, Bond, why not just have 2 small lasers or 2 medium lasers? Well, because I believe, actually, let's see. Let's do this real quick. Exactly. So I'd be giving up 4.68 points of damage. The whole point of the micro lasers is simple. You're only going to use it if you're hitting a gun in place turret or a tank. With a Stalker slow speed of 55 kilometers an hour, you're not going to get that close to anything. Nothing's ever going to get that close to you. But if something does get that close to you, you can probably delete it with micro lasers if it's a tank or anything like that. Otherwise, you're pretty much screwed because you don't want anything that close to a Stalker. Ooh, here's one of the top. Wait, hold on. Did I skip a row? Yes, I did. I'm sorry. We're supposed to start with the awesome. The awesome. What can I say? The awesome is awesome. Pretty fast. 74 kilometers. Greatly heated. Greatly cool. This is why I like the awesome. We're almost at 500 points of armor. It's very fast. It has a very good range. It's cooled almost to 4 points. You have 1, 2, 3 ER particle projection cannons, clan variants, and then you have a light particle projection cannon. If you shoot all 4 of these particle projection cannons at the same time, it will delete any mech regardless of size if you hit it in its center torso or its head. It does not matter. Light, medium, assault, heavy, CT, head, cockpit, done. Whatever these 4 PPCs hit, Rap City, done. So pretty much that's how I run this mech. I just try to destroy everything in one hit. If heat gets too heavy, I just use the light PPC, you know, to poke helicopters or to poke tanks and things like that. If things get close, then you have an SRM-6 and an SRM-4, and believe me, that's a big punch if anything wants to get close to you. If anything can get close to you, when these things literally shoot 1,800 meters, and the SRMs have a range of 300 meters, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, your PPCs have 8 times the range of your missiles. So if they can close the gap, by the time they get in close, the missiles will take care of the rest. I mean, this mech is one of the top mechs. Like, if you want to just wreck shit and destroy shit, this is up there. I wouldn't say pound for pound it's Golden Boy or the Archer, but this is definitely one of the better mechs out there. One of the newer mechs out there from the DLC. I know it looks goofy. I don't even know how it stands upright. And yes, this is one of the unseen mechs. Actually, this mech is actually in Robotech and Macross. And if you didn't know, this is a Valkyrie for Robotech and Macross, Skull Squadron. Didn't realize that, did you? Yeah, Harmony Gold was suing Battletech. Anyway, this is another missile platform. Very well cooled at 3.1, very well armored. Doesn't do as much damage as the Archer, but this thing has the endurance to hold a shitload of more missiles because it's heavier. So you got 20, 40, plus 30. You have 10 less LRM racks, you know, so you have 70 LRMs, but you get 4 medium lasers instead of the 4 heavy lasers or the 4 heavy small lasers or the 4 small ER lasers. So you can actually punch things, mediums, tanks, you know, you don't got to be afraid for things to get up close with 4 medium lasers, but the ideal approach for this mech would be to shoot things with all your missiles because it's a longbow. Come on, guys. Longbow, Archer, Trebuchet, Catapult, all LRM missile boats, people. And no, I would not turn this thing into a SRM brawler. Leave that to the Golden Boy. Battlemaster. This is a unique mech. I don't think this mech would be too great without clan weapons, and I'll tell you why. It fits 2 SRM-6s and a LRM-10, which can all be done via a small missile slot. Unfortunately, an SRM-6 with inner spear technology is a large hardpoint, and an LRM-10 and inner spear technology is a medium hardpoint. So you would not even be able to do this whole thing right here with inner sphere technology, only with clan tech. And then, you know, we got 4 medium lasers, 2 heavy lasers. It's decently cooled for all these weaponry at 2.9. It's got good armor. It's got good speed. It's overall a good mech. Not the craziest thing, not the best thing, but it's good. The Mauler. I love this mech. Cover of MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. Don't know why that this mech, whenever the computer pilots it, acts like a complete idiot and always gets its arms blown off. I thought this mech was poorly armored for that reason, but it's actually very well armored, especially in the arms. 570 points. This thing is a nightmare because it's very well cooled. It will reach out and touch you with heavy large lasers and twin LRM-20s. And if you decide you want to get closer to that, then you will be facing 2 HAG-20s, Hyper Assault Gauss rifles. This thing carries a lot of ammo. It is deadly at pretty much every range. Deadly at long range, deadly at longer range, deadly at medium range. I mean, unless you get right up in this thing's face, you're probably not going to have a chance. And even then, anything that's quick enough to cut the distance to get close will have to deal with 2 HAG-20s, which will probably delete anything close up in 1 to 2 rounds. The Highlander. I like the Highlander. Some people don't like the Highlander. I fucks with the Highlander. For this reason. The Highlander might not be the fastest mech, you know, 56.92 speed, but it's heavily armored. It does a shitload of damage. It's very well cooled for its armament, but it's got jump jets. It's got 5 jump jets. So you have a you have an assault mech with 5 jump jets, a HAG-40, you have an LRM-20 and an LRM-15, so you basically have 35 missile racks to deal long-range damage, but you got a HAG-40 to obliterate shit because the HAG-40 is the most powerful weapon in the game. And you have room for 3 medium lasers. You don't have to compromise with heavy small or ER small or micro. You get the standard 3 medium lasers. So overall, this is one of the better mechs again. Not the greatest, but still, I like the Highlander. If you want a mobile assault mech that has jump jets, the Highlander is it. Sorry, it is. Now we start getting into some weird mechs. The Cyclops. Whew. Yeah, you already see what the Cyclops is packing. The problem with the Cyclops, though, is definitely heat management with its weapons. It's also why I had to drop the SRM-6 to the SRM-4 because using the SRM-6 just generated too much heat, and I saved the tonnage to use on more heat sinks. So it's only at 1.89. 1.89 is not a lot, especially when you're running with dual HAG-40s. Yes, dual HAG-40s. That's 112 damage concentrated with one pull of the trigger. You can delete anything in one shot with this. period. And if it survives, you have 3 medium lasers to ping it or ding it, whatever. It literally just has this SRM4 because it can. Because if something gets super close, you use the 3 medium lasers and the SRM4 on a tank or whatever, because you don't want to waste ammo using your Hag 40s. But yeah, twin Hag 40s, that's nothing to mess around with. The crazier thing about the Cyclops, though, is for a 90-ton mech, it runs at 75 kilometers an hour. Let's put this in perspective. The awesome 75 is pretty fast. The longbow 75 is pretty fast. Okay, so a lot of things are running at 75. Anyway, yeah, I guess it's not too special. Only because of the Highlander's 56 and the Mauler's 56 and the Stalker's 56. Okay, whatever. But yeah, 75 kilometers with twin Hag 40s is pretty wild. I mean, you got things like the Thunderbolt that can only run at 75. Yeah. Okay, I spoke my point. The Corsair. Yes, this is a weird mech. It is just a salvaged and cobbled together mech. That's what the lore is on the mech, but it can be dangerous. And I'll show you why it's dangerous. Because it also has 2 Hag 40s, but it's got better cooling than the Cyclops. But it is slower. But you got 2 Hag 40s. You can delete everything. But you also have twin ER large laser short burst. Now, these are 1 ton heavier than clan variants, but they also do less damage, but they can reach out and touch people with basically 1,265 meters of range. They do less damage, but the SB, the short burst variants, they do a lot less heat. A lot less heat. So you can Hag 40 things from far away. You can use these twin ER large laser short bursts to harass people as well. And if things get close, you know, there's always the clan SRM6 with Artemis 4 fire control. Very good mech, very heavily armored. Now we have the Banshee, which just looks like another variant of the Thunderbolt or the Hunchy, because most of its weapon systems are on that right shoulder. So yeah, if your right shoulder gets compromised in this thing, good luck. But it holds 2 heavy large lasers to reach out, and 5 heavy medium lasers, an LRM-15, just for fuck's sake. I mean, you could have put in an SRM. I thought about putting in a short-range missile launcher, but at the same time, most of this thing's weaponry is for medium range. So, you know, if you got 1, 2, 3, 4, what is this? Yeah, you got 5 medium lasers heavy and a Hag 20. I think the missile system would be better to support the 2 heavy large lasers as opposed to all the medium lasers. So that's why I opted for the LRM-15 over the SRM-6. This thing will do damage, 220 points of damage. If you get close to this thing, you're dead. You will be melted. Period. I mean, you'll be harassed by 2 heavy large lasers and an LRM-15, but if you get close, you will get melted by a Hag 20 and 5 heavy medium lasers. Good luck. This thing is armored like crazy too, so yeah, good luck. The Marauder 5A, which is the Marauder 2. This thing is another nightmare on the battlefield. I know the stats don't indicate it, but hear me out. 592 points of armor, 4 points of cooling. It can jump people. 3 jump jets. I know that's not a lot, but hear me out. Here we're going here. 55 speed, not the fastest, but you have, again, like the Awesome, not like the Awesome, combination between the Awesome and the Catapult, you have 4 PPCs. 2 Clan ER PPCs, because if people want to get ranged out, they want to get ranged out. You have snub-nosed PPCs, 2 of them, 675. They're shorter range PPCs, but, you know, they do less damage and less weight. But again, PPCs are pinpoint damage. You can harass people with these large ones, but if people get in close, all 4 of these PPCs at once, delete, done, over. And you got jump jets, so you can hide behind mountains, get good positioning. You can just obliterate with people with PPCs long range all day. And you can, with 4 points of cooling, you can just continuously do it all day. Not a problem. Also, if the heat is getting too high, you have a Hag 20. So, yeah, you can delete people even with that as well. It doesn't generate a lot of heat. Like, look, ER PPC does 11 points of heat. The snub nose does 6.2. This thing does 3.4 and 28 damage. This thing does 15 damage, 6.2. So, yeah, if the heat builds up, you could just finish things off with the Hag 20. This thing's a monster. Absolute beast. And lastly, the Atlas. This thing kind of isn't fair. It just isn't. This thing, cooled to 3.5, a monstrous 624 points of armor, a monstrous 228 points of damage. It has 4 clan ER large lasers. It will reach out and obliterate you before you get anywhere close. It also has an LRM-20 with Artemis 4 fire control. You're not getting close. It has a Hag 40. You're not getting close. It has an clan laser AMS, so you're not outranging it. You're not. You're not going to try to troll it with missiles from long range because it will blow them up. You're not going to get into any close range because you're going to get ER lasered up. You're not going to get into medium range because you're going to get a Hag. If you by some chance get anywhere close, but you're going to be limping and pulling your parts around off the ground, and the Hag 40 is going to finish you. The Atlas is a beast. And one good thing I do like, outside of this active hangar squad right here, if I do make any changes sometimes I could take out the Zeus for the Atlas, and I would take out the Flea, maybe for the fire starter, or even the Spider, because you got 1 laser AMS, 2 laser AMS, 3 laser AMS, 4 laser AMS. It essentially makes your entire squad invincible to all forms of missile fuckery. Anyway, this has been a long-ass video. Hope you all guys enjoyed it. I'm Black Bond. Y'all take it easy. This is going to be a long-ass video, but I'm out, and enjoy your day.